Welcome to this week's episode of the Business Real Estate Podcast with Lynn Hoffman and Eric Johnson. Today we're joined by the dynamic duo of Justine and Peter Woolcott, both members of the Woolcott team, and we are talking all about families and teams. So welcome, you two. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Justine, you're one of the, I think we've only had one other person come back on. When we did have Conrad on the second time, so you're the first repeat. So
Happy
welcome
to be
back.
here. Yes, thank you.
It's been a while. So, you know, we've been, Lynn and I have been talking the last few episodes about teams. We just see, especially lately, I think, you know, we were saying last episode, because of 2025, the market that it was and what it is now, that there's a lot of people struggling, and so they are starting to look at teams. You guys are a unique team in the sense that, I mean, it's the complete family, isn't it?
It's the complete, well, it's three generations we were just talking about. I've got pens from the 80s with my grandfather's name on them. Peter Woolcott, Delmar Real Estate.
That's amazing.
And then our parents started the team 30 years ago?
30, how old are you? 33 years ago.
33.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were just born when they
I
started.
was just born.
Wow.
You grew up through osmosis and have learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I
on the
had
way.
no choice.
So you were probably on showings as a baby, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you got in at first, Justine?
No, actually, Peter got in at first.
Oh, okay.
I spent some time. I was vehemently against working in real estate. I lived in Toronto. I worked in advertising and marketing. And about 9 years ago, my dad asked me to come help. They needed some support on the management side. And I lived in Toronto until 3 years ago because I didn't think I was going to be here permanently. But I've since really fallen in love with it and really enjoy both the real estate and managing the team and working with our amazing group of people. Peter did start before me, though.
I did. You got poached. I didn't have a necessity. I was looking at a train axle factory, and eventually I just got, what am I doing? Parents have this business, let's go into it, it seems exciting.
Yeah.
Started as an agent and then got in the management side about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's been a wicked change. I love that side of the business, working with agents, recruiting, all that good stuff.
One of the things I know you're well noted for is your structure of your team and how that works. And I think that really sets you apart because you have such strong structure. So I'm hoping to hear a little bit about how that works so you can tell the audience.
Oh, we're an open book about our business.
How much time do you have, though? There's a lot to it.
And I think you used the key word there is business, because I know we've worked together in some classes, and that the Woolcott team really is run as a business, what I try and encourage every agent to do. But you guys truly have it as a business, have the systems, the checklist, the expectations of your agents, right? And as Lynn said, all the systems. So number one, who started that?
Well, that's
Our dad.
Dad.
For sure.
He's intense about that stuff.
He's brilliant. He is so systematic. He records everything, and he looks at things from the big picture, and that's where we've taken it on as well. So his biggest strength is not working in the business, working on the business, and how does that support everything else. And when you're working with so many people, you know, we have 42-ish agents on the team, plus a full operations team. You got to look at it as a business instead of running around trying to keep up with everything.
So if you were going to onboard me today, what would you tell me, you know, just the highlights of what process you would put me through and what I might expect?
Well, we just changed this to go to do onboarding through Go High Level, which is a killer system if you're a team leader and you want to onboard people. So much like those, what do they call it? The LMs. You have a series of videos that you can put together that have like courses, and with the help of AI, you can put really good content together. Right. So now what we're trying to do is give people a good picture of the systems and things before they even start day one, so that what we do traditionally is we have a 3-week onboarding. So you start and you have a calendar like 9 to 5, basically, hour by hour. You're with an administrator, you're with me, you're with Justine, you're with my dad, you're with the mortgage broker, you're constantly with somebody. But what we found was at the end of 3 weeks, their head's spinning. And like, it's just so much bloody content. How can you expect to tell somebody once, like the buyer showing process,
Exactly.
Yeah.
or these scripts or that thing or the other thing, and have them actually remember it? So what we want to do is combine that with this Go High Level, basically a course on everything. So they have an understanding, and then we can solidify that in the onboarding. But yeah, in the first 3 weeks, it's intense. Agents' heads are spinning, and it's kind of scary for them because we would do these boardroom calling sessions, and I think day 3, they're in the boardroom calling with me and with a headset on with other agents that they don't know. So it's nerve-wracking. You're calling strangers. Sometimes they haven't done it before. But the great thing about that, you can take somebody who's very shy, never made a sales call before in their life, and after like 3-4 weeks, they're like as good as I am. So they've got this skill set that's going to last them through their whole career. They've got confidence so that if we give them a lead, they can actually convert it, turn it into something. Rather than what most agents do is they push this off, they push the calling thing off till like 6 months down their career. They're always afraid of it. We just say, screw it. Like, put that fear in a box, face that thing head on, and then you can rock and roll and get your career going. Because we can't live with the fact, especially in such a tough market, you can't have somebody going 3 months without a transaction.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
really-
not, you can't have that on your conscience.
Our goal is to get people up and running as fast as possible. So we front load it. We front load everything with all of the practical information they need instead of jamming theory down their throats.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I just want to touch on with the Go High Level is, when you're doing training in person and you're doing it, once a month with a different group of people, it also depends on like what I remember that day. So if we videotape it and write it down and have everything ready to go, we have a very consistent onboarding for every single person, right? And it doesn't matter if like I happen to be out of office. Don't script the whole training schedule for somebody, which is really, really important as, our team grows and we're, opening different office locations, et cetera, right?
And don't get me wrong, like, it is not perfect. We are constantly working on the thing.
Oh, no.
I mean, every time I go through the onboarding, I'm like, oh my God, this is like out of date or out of touch, or it needs to be tweaked. But the thing is, when you operate in a systems-based environment, you make changes and they last to the next person, and the thing constantly gets
But you
better.
always gotta always tweak and make adjustments to how things change.
Yeah.
Now, when you were describing that process, that sounded like for a brand new agent.
Yeah.
What if I come on and I'm experienced?
You're going to get the same treatment.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
And sometimes, a good example is Rob, who started with us, lots of experience, but I'm walking him through, like, this is our kick-ass showing process.
Right.
I know you know how to show houses, but this is how we do
show
it.
houses,
These are the best elements, and it's not like me and Justine standing at a lectern saying, like, this is how you must do a showing. It's like, look, we collected all the best elements of all the best agents on the team and what they do at a showing. We put them in one place. Here's the process for it. You can't police it, but you just constantly... You bring it up and you make it obvious and you share it with the team constantly so that showing process, kick-ass showing is just a good example so that people have their best shot at following it.
Just with agents that have experience, like when they're working with the Woolcott real estate team, we want them to follow a certain set of standards because we know that is what works. Yeah. So no matter how much experience they have, it's really important that they learn everything. How to do the CMA, how to do the showing, how to use our database properly. All of the different elements.
Yeah. And that's what they all come in asking for. So I recruit a lot of people. And they all come in asking for systems, and they all come in looking for success, and they're gung-ho. And then I start, well, you're going to make 10 calls a day, which really isn't a lot of calls. When you pare it down, that's not a lot of calls. That is the one thing that I have the most resistance on. It actually is the thing they're most fearful of. So you're just kind of throwing them in the deep end, putting the headsets on, which I thoroughly believe in, because that means you mean business to me. That's focus on your business. And you just throw them in the deep end?
Throw them in the deep end. And look, I don't give them a lot of training on scripts before. Like, I kind of want to see what you're made of. I got to see you got the stones, you got the metal to do the thing.
chops,
Because, at the end of the day, this is what we hired you for. We brought you on the team because you sat in that interview room and said, I'm a salesperson. Okay, let's see what you got. Like, I'm going to toss you.
So what's your failure rate in the first 3 weeks out of 10?
I would say it's 30%. I don't
Okay.
know that number for sure, but
Yeah.
certainly if we
feels like
start
that?
3, there's one that's not there after 3.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what just happened.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, and we, you know, as we've gotten more experienced at bringing people
Yeah.
on and recruiting and training, Peter and I are much better at identifying when it's not doesn't work for us and the agent, because
Right.
we're not a fit for every agent. So
Exactly.
we, right?
But we make mistakes on that.
yeah,
all the time.
it's really challenging.
That
I
is-
know.
But what
that
do they
is the
say?
most difficult
Hire
thing.
slow, fire fast.
No, but you know what's really difficult to do? I mean, I've known Rob, using him as an example, for a long, long time. And so he has one demeanor and personality. But you underestimate sometimes the heart and the drive that's in there. So people can fool you. The ones that you don't think will make it might just be the rock star.
That happens all the
And
time.
All the time.
and the ones you think are going to be great fizzle because they don't have the discipline or the stick with itness to get through it. So it does. You do get better at it the more you go through that process with
Of course.
people. But it's a surprise. It can be a surprise a lot of the times.
And you have to acknowledge that you just don't know. I mean, we coach with a guy named John Cheplak, and he says,
Yeah.
like, you don't know squat. Like, you think you know personalities. You can't use it. I mean, I know a
No.
lot of team leaders use disc profiles and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but you really can't know.
It
Well, great
helps.
story. Our top agent,
Yeah.
our
Yes.
top agent's been the top agent for the last few years, does an incredible amount of business. She wasn't hired the first year because she failed a disc profile back in like
Yes.
2000.
Well, how do you
been
fail
with us for
a disc
15 years.
program though?
I'll tell you exactly. This
How
is
do
a
you
funny
fail? This is
story.
going-
Because
hear
they're
this.
not a D or
Because
an I.
her
There you go.
husband is a.
I'm a D, so we'll just go there.
He's a public speaker, and he's all into this stuff, motivational speaker.
Okay.
So she gets a disc profile from us
To take
and
home.
he fills it out for her on the answers that he thought we wanted. So we don't know
Oh,
that. We
that's
get
terrible.
it. And then the
Oh, I
coach
love
says
it.
to my dad at the time, like, you cannot hire this person. It's all screwed up. And then he'd only found out a year later at a party because he's friends with them that he filled it out. So
you can't
that
do
scared
that.
us
I've done
off.
that a
Yeah.
lot of times, and
Yeah.
you absolutely can't do that. You can't fill it out the way you think someone wants you to fill it out.
Yeah.
No.
It has to be your core wiring. And I agree. It doesn't tell you everything. It doesn't tell you how much heart a person has or how much motivation, their why to get things done and to be successful. But it certainly helps a little bit know where their strong parts are and the parts that they have to work on.
But I also think people are also, they're used to it, and I think some people do play it. And also, and as I say to, I've said this to business owners, I've coached different types of business owners, but you can't just rely on that office interview, because everybody knows how to do one.
Yeah,
Right,
especially
and I
agents
always think-
dressed up, all
Yeah.
nice tie.
And so meanwhile, they come back into the office in sweatpants or yoga pants, whatever.
Yeah.
But having stuff outside of the typical office, and I always say have multiple interviews and have them bring stuff in, but take them outside the normal interview process. Like we're going for a walk or we're in some busy place where it's very stressful, and seeing how they respond. I always say, like, that's the best way. You're going to put them in a situation they're not expecting and see how they react.
A big thing I learned from a great agent, great guy, Mike Johnson, is like you don't want to be their first success. So you want to look at their track record, whether they maybe ran a successful business before, or even if they were really successful in sports as a kid or through university. Like, I don't want a series of failures and then I'm expected to be your first success.
Your
Because the odds
savior.
are just so, I'm not your savior.
You're not your savior. yeah.
I can do a little bit of that, but I can't be your, that
Savior.
weight's too heavy. Even for me.
Yeah, there has to be some personal responsibility when you come into this business.
And
For sure.
that is the thing that most people don't come in with. They think that everything's going to be handed to them. They think that everything's going to be laid out. Lots of times I just say to people, just call the other agent and ask a couple of questions.
I think
Just call them. And it goes back to that, they don't want to call.
I
I
think
don't-
I think
it's
it's different.
crazy.
I think so many people are used to working in like a 9 to 5
Yes.
that when they come into a job where you don't have to be in an office 9 to 5, they get lost.
Yeah, they
and
do.
and you have one bad day, you have 2 bad days, you have 3 bad days. It's really hard to get back on
Yeah.
things and get
Yeah.
good day
On the
4,
horse,
good day
yeah.
5. And I think that's where we see a lot of, especially people newer to the business, struggle
Mm-hmm.
because they have so much time and they don't know how to leverage it. So we try to create a framework, but there's only so much you can show someone, right?
Yeah, going back, I don't necessarily see that they don't want to call. I think everybody earnestly goes in the office and they do want to make these calls. They want to stick to their plan. Problem is, in most cases, they don't have examples of it working. So they're in their home office, banging their head against the wall. Is the script that I'm using the right script? Am I saying it the right way? Am I calling the right leads? And they just, unfortunately, if you're not exposed to examples of it working, you're not going to get better and better and better. So we do the group calling sessions that we talked about, where they can see another agent in the room calling and booking a listing appointment. And then they can ask, well, geez, what segment of the database were you using? What objection handlers are you using? Is there a script? How are you opening this conversation up? Yeah. And then you can have much more confidence in what you're doing. And when you have confidence in what you're doing, these calls are just easy. There's so much. You can get, to those of you out there, these calls can be enjoyable and easy. You can get to that point. It just takes a little bit of requisite work.
And Peter's right there with them 4 days a week. So the calling sessions are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Peter's there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wow.
From 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
As an example, we're not asking them to do things that we wouldn't do.
Right.
And it's really important to have that leadership in the space with the agents that are learning this craft and trying to excel at it.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
We talk all the time about mindset. And I have I'm teaching a course now on peak performance, and one of the things we talk about is that limited belief.
Absolutely.
And because everybody focuses on the negative. Well, that didn't work then, but what about the times it did work? Yeah, no, but it didn't work here. So that's awesome. And I know that when they're not making calls, because they are expected to be in the office, correct? So if they don't have appointments, you should be in the office working your leads, your follow-ups, et cetera, correct? And I think it's interesting because I know I've done a couple of team leader series, coaching series, and all everybody talks about, the flexibility and the freedom I have with real estate. And all the team leads are complaining that their people are in like Costco or somewhere shopping, right? Doing everything but selling real estate. That is, you guys have a great system, and I like that. Is that, to your point, Justine, is they've used a 9 to 5, and I say to everybody, when you get in, this is a weird business in the sense you don't have brick and mortar, and so what ends up happening is when I have a brick and mortar, I have to show up at a certain time, I leave at a certain time. In real estate, if you're not coming into the office, it's very easy not to get anything done during the day.
It's very easy to I think less than 5%
you guys don't allow that.
I think less than 5% of people, real estate agents, can work from home and have a successful business. Lots of people can do it. None of this is mandatory. Like, we're not calling people if we don't see their car in the parking lot at a certain time. That's just not reality.
But you've created the culture.
We try
the culture.
make it so that there's enough value at that office that they want to come. So, like, if I have a buyer agent meeting and it's only half attended, I'm not going to chastise the other half that didn't make it. I'm going to look in the mirror and say, well, shit, obviously I'm doing a terrible job. I didn't do well enough in the last meeting. I got to go back to the drawing board and try to bring some value here so people come. Because once you start making it mandatory, you must come, report to me if you can't make it, that kind of a thing. People are there because they're there for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. So people are in the office because they're getting value, because they're around the right people, and the right things are going on that are going to push them to success.
We're in the office every day. Peter and I are in the office at least 9 to 5. But so we're not doing things that people aren't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're doing by example. You're
There
doing
we
by
go.
example.
Thank you.
That's what you were looking for.
But one of the things,
but something we also believe in, like, we know the people that succeed are those in the office, and we can look at that. Like, you can see it across the board from the sales numbers. Like, the agents that have had success, no matter how long they've been in the business, are the ones that typically are in the office.
It's so true. I had a small group that I was finishing up with yesterday, 6 people. And when we were talking at the end of the session, one agent was asking about they needed a property and a French immersion catchment and so forth. Other agent says, I got one of those coming on tomorrow. Let me show you that. Now, they would not have heard that together if they hadn't been in the same room at the same time and in the office together. So one of the things I try to express to them is, you don't have to stay there 9 to 5. I get it, you don't. But you need to spend some quality time in the office, because what you're going to hear from other people. You'll also hear what's going on. You'll get some better ideas. You get a chance to share ideas and things like that. So I think it's important for them to be in the office. I'm also a big believer in them having a full calendar with listing appointments scheduled out and buying appointments scheduled out, even if they don't have it yet. And then the goal is to get on the phone and make those things happen.
Yeah, we're I'm like a broken record right now.
Yes.
Talking about calendars at every meeting.
Yeah.
Like, to me, you should plan it out Sunday night, and
Yeah.
you should not have any blank spots in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Because what happens is, if you've got like calling 9 to 10, calling 10 to 11, different calls 11 to 12, or maybe follow-ups, but then you got a gap like between 1 to 3. Your brain doesn't go, let's do the hardest thing on my to-do list in that blank spot. Your brain goes to the bottom of the priority list and does some BS easy work.
Yeah.
And not because you're a bad person, but it's just
It's
because
nature. It's human nature.
the boss, you didn't tell you what to do. So what's the employee, like, you're now the employee, what's a typical employee going to do when they're not told what to do? The lowest common denominator,
Yeah.
work. So the beautiful thing about it is it's very easy to fix. You just have to, like, 5 minutes spent on your calendar.
And commit
address
to it
that
too,
whole thing.
right?
Yeah.
The calendar's worth nothing if you
Execute on
don't execute.
No,
For sure.
that goes without saying. They have to commit to it, but the structure that they need
Yes.
is a big calendar with the by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year, what things they need to get done, in my opinion. And when they have that structure, it's much easier for them to follow it. Maybe not 100% of the time, but at least they get and the accountability from the team lead, where you guys are strong team leaders. That accountability focuses them and makes them realize that's the right thing to do.
So often, though, I have someone come to me and they've got this big, beautiful, color-coded calendar, and I'm looking at it like, okay, you're going from like almost nothing in your calendar, and then you're going to expect yourself to, like, night and day turn to this person that, like, minute by minute by minute follows.
No.
You gotta. It's a muscle that you have to train over. It
Yeah.
took me a long. I was terrible with it.
Yeah.
Like, horrific with it for the first 5 years of my career.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easier for me to say because I'm in management, so it's a different style of work than realtors. But it takes, like, you got to put in something that's manageable, and then add a little bit more, and then
Yeah.
add a little bit more. You can't just expect yourself. Think of what it means to stick to a consistent schedule 5 days a week. Like, if you want to do those calls every single day without missing a single day, that means, like, you're not going to the bowling alley on Tuesday night and having a pile of drinks and sleeping in. Like, that you're setting yourself so far back. Like, everything else in your life has to be pretty well in order to stick to that rigid of a schedule. So you got to think of what that actually means.
Baby steps. I remember there was this one, listening to this one coach and talking about, creating habits, and said, oh, you want to learn how to floss teeth? You're not flossing your teeth? You got to start with one tooth at a time. So tonight you just floss one tooth, and then you're going to floss 2 teeth,
Yeah.
and then you floss 3, and I'm like, okay. It was a weird example.
Sure,
but I
dentists
go-
would hate that.
But it was just interesting. That is the concept, is you have to start one at a time in baby steps. As I always try and coach, is we got to do baby steps. You can do this for 1 to 2 weeks, and then
Yes.
we'll add something else, and then
Yeah.
we add something else. You got to build up. Aside from the work, I think we mentioned it once, was about culture. And so team is more than just, okay, here's the systems, let's talk about work. But you guys like to have fun as a team.
Our
Because
team-
did I not see something where you guys all went on vacation together?
Yes. So we.
I love that post, by the way, because you said something about if it's $1 short, you're
don't
not
go.
going. And I went, yes.
Look, we have worked really, really hard over the last few years to create this culture and foster this culture of people that are on, a similar mission.
Right.
And because of that, we work with some amazing people. The trip was we hit our team goals. Whenever we hit team goal, we take the team down south for 4 or 5 days. And we booked that 3 weeks before because that's when we hit goal. I booked a trip for 42 people without any notice. But what was
Wow.
really lovely is, like, every single person on the trip got along and had fun.
Yeah.
You never see that. We had a trivia night last night, 25, 30 people there, and, like, everyone's just happy to be there. The number one piece of feedback we get from our team is, how do we spend more time together?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
it's like, it's really lovely.
Yeah.
And so that's what, also kind of going back to recruiting, when we recruit someone, it's really important that they mesh within the culture as well. You can be the top salesperson, but if you're a total asshole, we can't have you on the team, because we just,
agree.
we spend so
agree.
much time together. It's a really, really important piece of our culture.
Do you ever, excuse me for interrupting,
No,
but
no,
do you ever ask some of your more senior persons on the team to get involved with your recruiting?
It's just part of the process.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Perfect.
So 2 agents meet with everybody before they, as a second step in the process.
Yeah.
Before
That's
we
good.
hire. And
Yeah.
sometimes they say, no, we don't like that person. I hire them anyways. And they're like looking at me in the hallway. Idiot. But then, just like we were talking about earlier, you don't know.
You don't know.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
But it's really, really
It's a-
valuable
yeah.
feedback from our
It's
from
very
our
It is.
senior
valuable.
agents.
And because they have to work side by, because I have another team that does a similar thing, because they all work side by side, and you want to be able to go on the trips and do all these fun things together. It is important, not that they're all lovey-dovey all the time, but they get along and they're of the same mind, and they just enjoy each other's company and working together for a similar goal. That's
Yeah. It also engages our senior team members,
Yes,
right?
it
Makes
does.
them feel part of the process, and which I think is
Validates,
really,
yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
When we're, yes, we are the team leaders, but we, with any big decision, we have a conversation with the team, we talk it
That's
out.
great.
Ultimately, we make the decision, but we want to hear all the feedback from the team. And every month I send out hey, what is one thing you would change in the company if you had the opportunity? We sit down, we look at every single answer. Peter and I and my dad, our dad, and if we can enact it, we will, and if we can't, we go and talk to the person and say, hey, thank you so much for the feedback. This is why we can't really move forward on this, but please keep sending us this.
Yeah.
Right.
That shows you value everybody.
And also, it's
That's
a
so
testimony
important.
to the culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's
You
where we're going
value
down with play together, work together. But the fact that they want to do more together, and the fact that you have those senior members helping you out, that's just a true testament to the culture the family has built on this team, right? Which is amazing. I think that's a struggle a lot of teams have, is building that right culture
Yeah.
and getting the right people in there that enjoy that culture.
The only value that we have is in the people there. Like it's a bunch of full-time real estate geeks at that office. Like everybody's into real estate. That's the big thing. Like if we're selling anything to an agent that's coming onto the team, you're going to be around like the best people, the best people in real estate, and the best people like in general.
Yeah. We were talking about something on another episode, and I want to run this past you as well. When you are hiring a person and you're going through that process, at any point do you express to them what your costs are for them being on your team and what the expectation might be for conversion of leads that come directly from the team?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Perfect.
So good. Do you mean like, are we telling them what the splits are and all that stuff?
No.
ahead of
Well,
time,
they know the splits, but what I'm saying is it's just been kind of our general opinion or knowledge that a lot of team leads don't
express the standards.
It will express the
Let's
cost.
say you come on and you cost me. If I figure out what you cost me, and you know this from my
Right.
team leader series, is I said you got to know your numbers and you got to know what an agent costs
Cost
you.
to be on the
Right.
team.
So an agent costs me, let's say, 20,000 for the year, 30,000, whatever, depending on what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Do you let them know that, hey, this is the cost? Just so, like, hey, if you don't sell anything for 3 months, like,
Is
that's a big-
there
No.
an expectation?
do they know, or is it just more an expectation that you have to sell this many? We expect you to do X number of deals.
No,
What's that expectation given?
Oddly enough, we don't have an expectation on number of deals per month or number of deals in a year because you can't control that outcome. We're much more about the input. That's the thing that you can control. We'll stick behind people if they got the right stuff and they're earnestly putting in the work and they're doing the calls. That's the stuff that they can control. Like we told them that we would help them with the conversion side. So if it's a problem with them getting in front of the client, not signing the offer or the listing paperwork, then that's where we're going to help them, whether we're going to
Okay.
sign them a mentor, we're going to have a listing agent go, or we're going to go personally with them to make sure that damn thing gets signed.
Yeah.
That's where we can carry the ball for them a little bit. But we can't, I can't tie your shoes for you, meaning
No.
if you can't come in and make the call, if you're not going to do what you said you did, because we're crystal clear about
Very
expectations
clear.
in that interview, and everybody's I'm going to do it. Then it's the end of the business relationship.
So what if I'm doing all this stuff and I'm showing the effort, but I'm not converting?
Not converting.
So at what point do you say, we got to cut
Or
losses.
that they're not suited for the business. I mean, the old saying is they can't close a door.
This is very
Yeah,
tough.
this is probably our one of our weak spots with that.
Okay.
Because, you know what, there's a time where you do have to say, you know, you haven't made any money.
And they've
This is
done
not-
all the things.
Yeah,
and
you've done
they're
all the
going
things.
The process.
rare.
Usually
Okay.
people self-exclude.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
honestly,
that's
usually
true.
people self-exclude.
Yeah, good point.
But, you know, at the end of the day, if it's not working, we do owe it to somebody to say, this is not the right path for you.
Right.
This is not the right team for you, maybe. This is not the right environment. Because, you know, we take the responsibility of somebody earning a living
Yeah.
very, very seriously.
Yeah.
There's a reason they've come to work alongside us. Most of them are the main earner in their family. And so if it's not working for them, we got to call it.
It's a serious responsibility that you
Yeah.
have. And I say that when I'm recruiting to people too. We do XYZ for you, but you know, I have about a year to help you succeed in this business. And if you're doing everything you're supposed to, I should be able to help you get to that point. Now, sometimes it's not a year. Sometimes it's 14 months. Sometimes it's a year and a half because everybody's got a different journey. But I guess what you're saying, as long as they're doing the activities and as long as you see the effort and you help along the way as well,
Yes.
you're not finding that you have too many that you have to cut loose.
Not 90% of the time, if they're doing the work, they're doing the activity, they're attending the team meetings, they're engaged. It's going to work
It's
for
going to
them.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those. I think it's 10 less than 10% maybe where they do the work and the deals still don't come.
Yeah.
And those ones are painful, and I'll just lay it out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
usually a confidence problem. Sometimes it's
Yep.
like a maturity problem. Sometimes it's just they can't close for one reason or another.
another, yeah.
And they've got all the right stuff, the look,
Yeah.
they can talk,
Yeah.
they can make phone calls. But again, that is such a small portion, but they're very painful, and it sucks for
It
everybody.
is
Yeah.
painful,
Yeah.
but I think maybe the key there is you do such a good job onboarding them that you're going to
We
know
usually- yeah, like-
whether that could potentially happen down the road.
Especially with the way that we've upgraded our onboarding, we, you know, they have a really clear expectation, and we know out of the gate if they're going to do the activities, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's take it out of the operational side of things and working with the team. Let's talk about family dynamics,
Okay.
because it's not always easy working with family. I know, because I've worked with my wife.
Should I be laying down in this chair for this portion?
Tell me about the relationship with your mother, Peter. Tell me about the relationship with your
start
father.
shaking.
Yeah, yeah. Let's Dr. Freud here. No, but look, I have a sister. I know what it's like. Our relationship sometimes, bugging each other, whatever. I don't know what it was like for the two of you growing up. Mom and dad, like that dynamic. You know, how has that changed over the years? And is it? Do you find moments where you just want to stab him in the back as he's walking down the hallway, your brother? Or
I think she definitely has with me. Less so the other way around.
I think, no, Peter and I get along very, very well. And you know what's like during the day, we only talk about work. We had our offices right beside each other. And my friends would be like, what's going on with Peter? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, we only talk about work stuff in the office. And same with our management meetings, our family meetings. It's with Drew, Jane, Peter, and myself. And in those meetings, it is strictly business and how do we move things forward. We're pretty good at talking openly about issues. I think that's actually one of the advantages of being in a family business, is we're not skirting around the politics. We know how someone's probably going to react, and we can have that open dialogue about things. And we're all on the same mission, right? We're all building this thing together, and we have the kind of going back to the team, like all of our team members. We're all on this kind of similar mission that we're trying to create. Now, Peter and I sometimes do have misunderstandings, but we'll call it out pretty quickly. Usually, I'm right.
So it's going really well. Very healthy.
No.
how do you feel about that, Peter?
No, it's more what happens is Peter's so good on the sales side and coming up with ideas, and I have to be the one that's like, we got to kind of just bring it back a little bit into like a realistic timeline or
Yeah, our brains
expectation.
work completely different. So it is a
Completely
good yin and
different,
yang.
yeah.
Like Justine is
See,
very
there you go.
good at the stuff that I am horrific at. Like she's really good at system stuff. She's really good at marketing stuff. She's really good at following processes. And I make more mistakes than anybody in that office, like without question. It's not in my nature to be good at that stuff, but I can come up with some ideas, but I need an awful lot of help to implement them. I've hoped that I'm good enough with the agents.
You're great with agents.
So they were listening to our
last
most
week
recent
we
podcast,
were talking about
because
complimenting.
this is so neat. Opposites do attract. There's reasons. So you both bring.
Well, there's no attraction.
Yes.
No.
I
That's
know.
It's okay.
But
Lynn,
talking
last
Oh, God.
episode she
Yeah,
mentioned
I know.
eHarmony, so hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's,
What
you
I'm
complement
saying
each other.
is that the general term, when you're
Yes, I
talking about
know.
relationships with people, two that are more opposite do get along better in general.
Yeah.
Because they bring such different things. So you guys
Strengths and weaknesses support each other.
support each other in that.
Right. So now I'm curious because I see more of you two than I do see your dad. Whereas it used to be, I didn't see a lot of Peter before. It was more Drew.
And Jane. Jane was on a lot of the
So how
billboards
has that
too for a while.
changed and evolved?
Well, we're just like Peter and I are more hands-on with the team now, so that's where we decided to update some of the creative and to appeal to a bigger market. Right, our parents are very well recognized, very noticeable in the Hamilton Burlington area, but they are getting older.
Say it, yeah.
So,
the demographics changes.
and so
Absolutely.
we were, and it was my dad's idea to put us on there. We both kind of were against it, to be honest.
I can't stand driving by.
Yeah, it's really.
It looks good.
Yeah,
Don't
seeing
worry.
a 10-foot picture of your face
Yeah.
is really interesting. But so we put ourselves on. Plus, Peter and I are doing a lot of the social media. We're showing up
Yeah.
to a lot of the more in-person events. Peter's doing a lot of the recruiting. I'm go to a lot of networking events, so it made sense to put us in that space. And we're still getting comfortable with it.
Now
for sure.
they're still very much
Yeah,
involved.
very
in-
involved.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
they are, but
Yeah.
it just visually I've seen a
Yeah.
slight change. I'm just
Yeah.
curious how that.
Well, and we had to figure out how best to do the billboards because we couldn't put us on the billboards together.
it'd just be
Again,
kinda
it would just be
weird.
kind of weird. And then, so there was just, we decided to go completely separate.
Yeah. But the billboards, because I've seen a couple of them around. Where was I? I guess down in Hamilton, and it still sends the same message. It's still faces changed, but the message.
And what's the message?
Pack before you
Pack
go.
Eric saved you.
I have bought a property from your father.
We need more billboards.
I know the logo.
Yeah.
I used to live across the street from me. There was always a billboard of
Yeah.
Drew on there.
Yeah.
So I saw it all the time.
Yeah.
So
That's so funny.
No.
Well, we dabbled with other marketing. It was like the deals and the details and more generic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we kind of noticed a drop off with like.
When we took my
that was
parents-
a harder one, that devil's in
Yeah.
the details, because
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with.
included.
But I totally agreed with what he was saying, and
Yeah.
he's absolutely right. But I think it was just a little
Too
too
high
high
level, yeah.
for the average person
Well,
to get.
and you know what? Real estate is one of the only industries where your face is on the billboard, and that we took the faces off the billboards,
Yeah.
and we saw a market
That
drop
does
in sales.
not
Like
work.
it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Does not work.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it coincided with the drop in the market, but we saw a bigger dip than most of the other
You gotta have a
teams.
face on the sign. You gotta have a face on the billboard. You gotta have a face
Yeah.
on everything.
the
It's what it's all
familiarity.
It's,
It's that
you know,
brand recognition. That's what I'm used to.
It's also
Right?
people are inviting you into their home, into this biggest transaction.
Yep.
It really helps build trust. I mean, you know, we should feel so honored to be invited into people's houses.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, so I totally understand where they're coming from, but it is,
Yeah.
you know, one of the biggest questions I get asked from my friends is like, why are you on the billboards? It's like, it's all about trust. It's all about building that trust from the very beginning.
It's familiarity. I mean,
Yeah.
people think they know you already, and they think they know the family because your family's been on there over the years, and your logo has stayed the same. And I think that speaks to it. It says you're going to do a good job. It's going to be fast, so get packed because we're selling your house as soon as it's on the market. And that they can that they can relate to
Yeah.
faster than the other,
Yeah.
the devil's in the detail one.
Well, familiarity is so big
It
in
is.
this market. I mean, when you've got sales down as low as they are, January was off 20% from last year, something like that. You see a lot of the business, unfortunately, for the independent agent, it's going to the teams because when somebody goes to list their house, they just call whoever's familiar. They're not even really sure why. Okay, we're going to call Woolcott. We've never spoken to them. We've never met them. They don't know us, but they've seen the name, and so they call. Because a lot of the times, we'll ask like, "Why did you call us?" And,
Yeah.
well, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell
It's
you a
really-
funny, I'm going to tell you a funny
trust,
story.
it's the trust, right? Because
Yeah.
they see the consistency. It's much like somebody who sends postcards out. If you just do it for a couple of months and don't, you're not getting the calls. But the person who does it consistently, they've seen you over and over and over. There's a
Yes.
familiarity and trust.
So here's
Sorry.
here's a little bit of a funny story. So December 24th, I go to MedCan to get a full physical, right? And between each appointment, you're sitting in a room like this with a bunch of people. So it was a very nice gentleman, and he was with his wife, but he was very chatty. He was the social one of it. Where are you from? Where have you been? Where is this? He lived in Waterdown. Oh. Then he asked me what I did for business. I'm a real estate broker. Oh. Do you know so-and-so? I said, yes, I know the Woolcotts very well. They're a great, he says, they're fantastic, aren't they? I said, yeah, they're a great team. So I'm pretty sure that you've done business with these folks before, but they certainly knew you very well. They really seem to know you very well. And it's just funny that because you're having a conversation.
Well,
yeah,
there
you're
was
not
a time
telling
where
us a story where it didn't go so well.
It went very well.
Well, there was a
It went very
time-
well, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think it generally does. That was how well known you were in Waterdown.
Yeah.
And your face is there, and actually he knew your mom and dad. He knew you guys. I think you're about the same age as his kids were, and it was a really nice conversation. It was I thought it was fantastic.
Well, there was a time when my parents knew every single
Everybody.
person in Waterdown
Yeah.
because they door knocked, like they built the
My
business.
dad's
Waterdown.
knocked on every door,
Yeah.
I think 3 times,
Yeah.
he says.
Yeah.
In
Like we
Waterdown.
couldn't go to going to the grocery store was
Everybody
a
knew.
nightmare when we
Well,
were kids.
Nightmare as a kid, but such
Yeah,
a
it was, but it was
success
great
now.
for yeah.
Right.
But it was they really worked hard on being engaged with the community.
Yeah, and it pays off. You see, just a general random conversation. Now, maybe when they go to sell their house, they're probably going to call you because you
hope
were
so.
definitely
Yes.
on their. You were clearly definitely on their minds.
Yes.
And also, your grandfather, as you said, like there's been this. You got the family name has been associated with
Long
real
time.
estate. As must have made it somewhat easier for the two of you, just because there's been that familiarity. And I knew your grandfather. I knew your mother.
Did you get that very often?
I remember cold calling because we have the same name, and I would cold call. Like
Yes.
back when you got a postal code and you.
Because there's
proper
3
cold
Peter
calling.
Woolcotts, right?
Yeah, there's 3 Peter, and you'd say, "Hey, it's Peter Woolcott." Say, "Oh my gosh, you're still in real estate?" Yeah, I just started. You're still alive.
Yeah. But
That's
we're-
what I thought you were going to say.
We're also lucky. We have the real estate, but it's also Woolcott shoes is something that was started on Ottawa Street in the 1950s. That
That's
is
true.
what is in our
Okay.
family.
Yeah.
I think the last store closed in 2015. But there's a lot of Woolcott shoes, Woolcott real estate. I'm like, yes, we're both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a good boon for you guys in terms of the family and like for some people it's sometimes difficult working with family members, but you guys have really made it work. And I like what you had said, Justine, about that, being able to be open and call each other out. Because I find that even in my wife's family, it's very much, and like she said, I remember when I love family, and she goes, no, you don't understand until you meet my family and how they're so much involved and having open discussions and being able to call each other out because, Dad was growing a flooring business but the kids were involved. And so they had money conversations as kids and everybody knows what everybody makes. There's
Yeah.
no secret in this
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah.
if you do something wrong, you're going to
Everybody
be
knows.
called an asshole if you're an asshole or whatever, but we still love you and the family still gets along. And I think that's an amazing thing to have in this business because this business can get very tough at times, right?
Now, looking back at our childhood, you would never think it would work.
Yeah,
out
no,
that way.
no.
Constant
It's definitely
fight to
something
the death.
like it
It's
definitely
different.
has-
It's a different dynamic than
Yeah.
most people have.
Yeah, but we've really grown into it, and it's not to say it hasn't been all like roses, but we have because Peter and I both got into you came into management a few years ago, but we had to learn how to work together in a different way because he was an agent before, so it was a completely different dynamic.
Yeah.
And it was his first time kind of managing people and learning that.
I had no idea what I was doing. No
So,
clue.
but now we're in this really good spot, and our parents are phenomenal mentors for us.
Yeah.
Like we are
Yeah.
so blessed to be able to work with them.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to other agents out there that are looking to team up? Because I see agents all the time that, hey, my husband or my wife is getting their license and they're coming to work and so working with family. What advice would you give to an agent out there that's thinking of, bringing on a family member?
Oh, bringing on a family member.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whether it's a spouse, brother, sister, whatever, like working with family, what advice would you give them?
Gosh, I don't know because it's got I only know my family, so I
Yeah.
don't know the dynamics of other families. I would love to sit on a chair and tell them that we've got it all figured out. But I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't know if I'm speaking for both of us, but it's not like we made a conscious effort. We were just fortunate enough to have a tight enough family where you're able to operate in that environment. So I don't know if I even have any advice. Don't be an asshole.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is make sure you set out expectations and roles and boundaries out of the gate, because I think it can be very exciting from what I've seen. Again, no experience with working with my spouse, but I think when people start, it can be so exciting. We're going to do this together. But if you don't draw a line in the sand of it's 7 p.m. on Friday, we need to have a conversation that's not about real estate,
Yeah.
then it can
It's
become all
difficult,
consuming.
yeah.
And we're still learning that at family dinners. We have a benefit where one of our siblings is not in real estate, so we have
It's
stop
hard.
on
I
it.
worked for 25 years with my first husband. We had it was his family business,
Yeah.
and I joined it shortly after it started. And it was very hard to control the conversations.
Well,
And
like you
my,
said,
my daughter will attest to that fact.
you
It's
guys
just-
talk
it's difficult.
business during business hours.
Yeah.
You go, I have no idea what's going on with Peter because you've been talking business during those office hours.
But you're
right?
brother and sister.
No, I get
It's-
that.
it's
And
when
I'm
you-
saying
you
like
know
just
the other
any
half when
family.
you're home, it's
No,
hard.
any family
Yeah.
member, it doesn't matter, but it's just, like I said, it doesn't matter, husband, wife, brother, sister, whoever, like two brothers working together. But I think
I
you're
think
right,
Justine's
having the
advice
boundaries.
is the right
Having
answer.
boundaries in that it can't always be about business and we can't just be personal. During work hours, it's
Yeah.
business, et cetera.
A mistake we see people make, that I see team leaders make, is hiring buddies, hiring friends,
Yes.
hiring a pal from high school to be their sales manager or accountant or whatever.
Yeah.
That relationship ain't the same, and when that goes sour,
You
it
lose,
is ugly.
and you lose both. You lose both
Yeah.
the relationships.
It's not
Yes.
and
worth
it's
it.
not nice. No.
I mean, sure, it works out a lot of the time, but I hear of it not often.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that.
Mixing friendship and business doesn't
Yeah.
always work.
Not
right?
really. Yeah,
No.
it's really tricky.
It can be difficult, but I think Justine, to your point, having those frank and open conversations about boundaries, expectations of each other, especially husband and wife together, does help a lot. But the trick there is you got to follow it.
Well, like
And
my
adhere
husband,
to-
like we don't work in business, but he's
Yeah.
a developer, so we work in a very similar space, and we're very conscientious of it, because it can be all you talk about when you go home,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it can be. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
no,
good.
and my wife has been involved
Yeah.
in the business,
Of
so
course, yeah.
but we have just conversations about other stuff. We're talking about our personal life, and
Yeah.
our finances, and
Yeah.
our family.
Yeah.
And I said, thank God I don't work that closely with her during the workday. Like we don't see each other that often. And even if when it was interesting that when she was more involved in the management side of things with us, now she's with an offshoot. But with us, we'd go to a leadership team meeting, and people say, "Oh, you want to sit beside?" No, I'm going to sit beside somebody else. I know her,
Yeah.
and not because I don't like her. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
more that I spend enough time with her. I need to mingle more with the other leadership team members and get to know them a little bit better. And for me, that was always sort of my boundary, was that we spend enough time away from here together that here I'm going to get, I might sit beside Lynn, right, and talk to her.
Yeah.
And she can talk to somebody else and grow those relationships. But it is an interesting dynamic in this
Definitely.
industry.
I often have a husband apply to the team, and I'll be sitting down with them, and I'll say, my wife's been in real estate for 20 years. I'm like, well, why aren't you working with her? And I don't usually get much of an answer because you know what it is. We see that all the time. We've never brought on a husband and wife on the team.
I had the most
before.
interesting one years ago when I was the manager for Royal LePage Res. And he's now one of our agents, and he came and applied to be a Royal LePage agent. And his wife was already working with Remax Escarpment. And I said, he go, no, I want to be here. So he did his first 10 years of real estate at Royal LePage, and then I transferred over, and one day I got a call from him and his wife, and they said, so convince us. If we decide we're going together, is one of us going to Royal LePage or is one of us going to Remax, right? And so again, I was in that position where I had to show the benefits of us, of Remax at the time, which I did. Unfortunately, Phil is now with us as well.
Okay.
So it's interesting because he wanted his own career to be his own. When he started, he wanted to make it on his own.
I get it.
Do it on his
100%
own.
yeah.
And I totally got it. But it was one of those, I was like, at first I was like, okay, why are we doing this? But then I got it. And he did very well. And then they came together.
Yeah.
And
But it is an
fantastic.
interesting dynamic, that's for sure.
It is.
Yes.
And they're
Yeah.
fantastic. So, yeah.
So no, it's been an interesting conversation, and we really appreciate both of you coming on and sharing your experiences. I've been a big fan, with Justine when we had been in. She came into one of my classes, and I'm talking about things. She goes, "No, we do that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, man. Like I was
Need
impressed.
to know more about that.
Yeah, I really, the brand I've seen, I didn't know you guys that well before I joined, but definitely learned more about the team, and the more I learned about how you run it as a business, as a team, and the way you all work together, it's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys should, you just don't see this level of togetherness, I guess you could say, or leadership from some of the other family groups. And so you guys should be applauded for that. 3 generations, that's saying something. So, and so I guess my last question would be, if you were to have a child, a boy, would you call him Peter?
Oh, that came out of left field. I wasn't expecting that.
Have 4
Honestly,
Peter
probably,
Woolcotts? No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, that's
You go, I have a pen from my great grandfather.
Yeah. How could you
Great.
not?
Yeah,
I gotta
right?
give someone the pens.
That'd
yeah.
be amazing. No, sorry. No, we had a good laugh about that at the beginning. We
Yeah.
were talking about that. So no, seriously, guys, thank you so
Thank you.
much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate both of you
Really
being
great.
on here. For those of you that are looking at joining forces with family, it can be done. The Woolcott family is truly a testament to that. And we thank you so much for joining us this week on this episode of the Business Real Estate Podcast with Lynn Hoffman and Eric Johnson.